10 coworker hookup confessions that might make you reconsider an office fling. 1. I was a waitress and he was the chef at a restaurant on the water on Cape Cod, Massachusetts. We always flirted and there was serious sexual tension. One summer, I went over to his house, and we swam in his pond, and next thing I know, we were having hot sex. Afterwards, we both agreed to keep it a secret. The next day, everything was very normal at work. However, I was feeling a bit guilty, so I confessed to my friend, who also worked at the same restaurant. She reassured me that everything is fine and I shouldn't feel guilty. Within the next couple of hours, I noticed she was avoiding me. Well, come to find out, I just confessed to her that I slept with her boyfriend. That's why he wanted to keep it a secret. I had zero clue that they were dating because they chose to keep their relationship a secret. Also, her mother was our manager and was in charge of scheduling. Let's just say I stopped getting shifts after this incident. 2. I had a one-night stand with my boss at the Christmas party. Horribly cliché, I know. We had been flirting with each other all night, and when everyone left, we hung back and he held my hand. I knew something was going to happen. We sat outside chatting for a while and I remember asking him repeatedly whether he was sure that he wanted to do this, because he had a long-term partner and young children. He was adamant he did, so we got an Uber to my house. The actual *X was weird and awkward, and I burst into tears as soon as he left. I thought I'd done the silliest thing, ruining my career and sleeping with someone else's partner. I felt ashamed. Suffice to say, it did not continue. He actually messaged me a couple of days later, and I told him I didn't want it to happen again. He was fine about it, but it made our relationship very awkward and we spent most of our time avoiding each other. I regretted it hugely and didn't tell anyone in the office. I left the job a couple of months later. I definitely see the funny side of it now, but I would never do something like that ever again. 3. My coworker hookup and I were a similar age, and the more we talked, the more we realized we had a lot in common. Slowly, we started spending lunch breaks together, going for walks, and talking, and we grew even closer. But we were also both in relationships at the time, so neither of us made a move. Eventually, he found my number and began messaging me privately, and admitted he'd always been attracted to me. I agreed. He admitted he was unhappy in his relationship, as I was in mine, and slowly talking became flirting. I started blushing any time he was around and we both became easily distracted. We couldn't help but stare at each other during meetings. We began spending every lunch break together and I started working late just so I could spend time with him when everyone else had gone home. Safe to say, people caught on. A few months later, I changed jobs and we both ended our relationships, realizing how unhappy we were. We've now been officially together a few months and he's told people from work, and none of them were surprised. All of them have been pleased for us. 4. I hooked up with the CEO of the company I worked at when I was a graduate trainee. At first I thought it would be wild and fun, so did he, but who knew that 7 years later, we would be engaged and living together. It could have gone a whole other way, and I knew that was the risk. At the time, it was so hot and fun that I didn't care. Now, I still work at the same company, he is still the CEO, and I'm being held back in my career because I have to really prove myself. I'll take that for the love we have though. 5. We were coworker friends working on an advertising project late one night, trying to finish it because our deadline was that next day. We were close, and then we just hooked up all of a sudden. We were friends for so long and there was just so much tension. It was amazing, but we had a few slip-ups, like getting his D*K too close to a stapler. But ended up doing well on our project and no one ever found out. The next week, however, it was awkward but we quietly joked about it. He eventually ended up moving to another office across the country. I guess he couldn't handle it. But I think it would have been great if he stayed. 6. I was a trainer at a local gym, and the owner, who is basically *X on a stick, and I always had playful banter, but nothing ever came of it. Until he added me on Snapchat. We talked more than my boyfriend and I did. One day, we were alone at the gym between clients, and he followed me into a tanning room and closed the door behind him. He put his hands in my hair, trailed them down my body, and picked me up by my waist with his perfectly chiseled arms, then pressed me against the wall for what felt like an hour but was actually only about a minute. I could feel my heartbeat in my ears. For days after, I turned beet red every time he looked at me. His wife, at the time, and I were friends, so talking with her was very awkward. For a few weeks after, he would grab my butt * between sets, pick me up and kiss me where there weren't any cameras, constantly snapped me, and we were always talking. I ended things after we were almost caught making out against the washing machine by another trainer and I was terrified. I soon left the gym and haven't been back since. I'm glad we're still friends and that nobody ever found out. It was amazing, but short-lived. I don't regret it a bit. 7. I ended up being in an office relationship with my male coworker. It just happened and I was not expecting it. Every lunch break we would have to go to the bathroom, but at different times to be with each other. It went on for about 4 months until about a month ago, our boss walked in on us as he was bending me over the sink. We both got fired on the spot and everyone found out about it because they could hear our boss screaming at us in the bathroom. I had no shirt on and my skirt was ridden all the way up to my stomach, and my coworker had no pants on. Long story short, I have a new job and definitely do not have sex with coworkers anymore. 8. In the restaurant business, coworkers hooking up is not an unusual thing. Everyone needs to let off steam every now and then, myself included. We normally sit and all have a drink after work. It was late one Friday night, and after talking and gossiping about the night we all had, my coworker and I walked outside to have a smoke. We ended up having *X in his car, and that happened about 2 more times, and for a while, it was a secret. I found out at a routine checkup that I contracted HPV, so I had to go through the embarrassing ordeal of asking if he was clean. Editor's note: there's currently no test that can detect HPV in men. To add insult to injury, I found out he had a girlfriend after we had done the deed, and she was a girl I worked with. I haven't spoken to him since, not unless it's been work-related. Moral of the story: don't sleep with your coworkers. 9. I had always thought one of my coworkers was super hot, but I never thought anything would happen. One day, he started flirting with me and asked for my number. We would text every so often, and every time I saw him at work, the sexual tension was undeniable, but he never asked me to hang out outside of work. Then, after a few more months, I quit the job because I was starting grad school. As soon as I quit, he started texting me more and asked me to hang out. The first night we hung out outside of work, we sat at a bar and talked for, like, 6 hours. Then, on the way home, he finally made a move. For about 2 months after that, we were texting constantly and hooking up whenever we could. It was crazy and so passionate. We kept it a secret from all of our coworkers, which made it even more exciting. Then, after randomly finding his profile on Facebook, I saw that he had a secret girlfriend the whole time we worked together and had been hooking up. I was furious and ended things right away. He's tried to contact me twice since I ended things, but I just tell him to fuck off. 10. I work at a pharmacy, and one day, I walked into work and noticed this really hot new guy working. I didn't talk to him, but I stared at him from afar all day. He caught me staring a few times and one day asked for my number. We started going out but kept it a secret from everyone. About 6 months later, our boss asked us if there was something going on, and we admitted that we were seeing each other. She then announced our relationship to the whole store over the PA system. Nothing has changed at work except many awkward jokes. 2 years later, we are still together.